When we started out, the first store was called Dominic's, and owned by a guy by the name of Dominic DeParty. And we bought this store from Dominic, and Dominic gave us permission to use the name. After a couple of years, my store in Ypsilanti became probably the busiest pizzeria in the whole state of Michigan. I got a call from Dominic one day, and he said, "You can't use my name anymore." And so it was kind of a panic, and we were thinking about different names to call it. And one day a driver came in from a delivery, and he shouts out, "I got our new name, Domino's." I says, "That's great. That's a great name."
I had just joined the board of Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio, and he was proposed as a new board member. That was quite an impression because when he was traveling then, he would come in by his own plane to the local airport and then by helicopter to the Franciscan campus, and accompanied by a security guard. The Tigers had just won the World Series, first year he owned them. So he was quite a well-known person.
You know, I was a special case. I don't think too many people got obsessed with all the toys as I did. It was sort of a fast train heading for a train wreck, and I got off the train, maybe just in time, I don't know. I was the first one to take the delivery seriously and basically developed a whole industry, pizza delivery. At one point in the late 80s, we had 54% of all the pizzas delivered in the United States. That time, I put the company up for sale. I read a book by C.S. Lewis called Mere Christianity. And it had a chapter in there on pride. And I always knew that I had a lot of pride. I mean, the biggest sin I confessed, I went to confession over the years, is that I was too obsessed with impressing people. And I knew that was something I always had to battle. I don't know whether it's because I was brought up so poor or what. And that chapter in that book just hit me right between the eyes. And he basically was telling me that the reason you've worked so hard and tried to accomplish all you had was to have more. Not just more, but more than other people. And that hit me right between the eyes, and I couldn't sleep that night.
You get the understanding that he grew up in an orphanage, and that begins to become very clear in his life that not only was he at the top of his game at one point, but in his giving away his money, he basically is happy without anything. It's kind of an interesting thing because most people, if they have a lot of money and they grew up poor, they're afraid of that experience again. But in his case, when he had that conversion that he had, he really, really believed that the most important thing was the eternal. And it made such a difference in his life.
After reading the C.S. Lewis's book, I decided I was going to give up all the toys, and I took what I call a millionaire's vow of poverty. I mean, we were always taught that pride is the basis of all other sins. After reading C.S. Lewis, I thought that I must be the biggest sinner in the world because I don't know anybody who has more pride than I do. I mean, that was really a sobering thought. And it's not like I'm totally recovered from it yet.
At first, it was difficult to understand exactly how deep that change in him was. But I have witnessed it now very close up over the past 10 years. And there's no doubt in my mind that it's extremely genuine. And he has an ability to give up the perquisites of wealth that I've seen few other people have.
And I wanted my money to go where it did the most good and save the most souls. And I very easily was able to narrow that down to education. And I narrowed the education down to higher education. And that's why I'm doing what we're doing here. And very few people have the ability, the wherewithal to start a university. So I thought it was kind of an obligation a calling or something I had to do.
A lot of people say they want to die broke, but I don't see many people putting themselves in a position where they actually are going to die broke, where they take on commitments that are going to exhaust their resources. And Tom's done that, and you look around this town, it's like he's already given away the majority, and he's fully committed, and he's put himself in an irreversible position of doing just that. And it's not because he doesn't like money or doesn't like the things that money can buy, or he's trying to give his way into heaven. Tom wants to go to heaven and bring as many people with him by using his money to build the kingdom.
I didn't mention I live in a dorm, did I? My secretary calls it my cell.
Tom's approach to generosity is really interesting because he sort of leads the way, but there's room for as many people who'd like to join him to participate, and there's not only room, but they're invited. That's one of the things that drew me into this, that there was room for me to participate in a really substantive way and to bring my gifts into this great vision. And I think that's one of the reasons he's attracted so many people giving their time, their treasure into this whole endeavor.
And right now, my life is so right for the way God made me. I believe I'm doing exactly what God wants me to do. And I feel so privileged that He gave me the wisdom to see it.